everybody. I can't believe it. We have reached the end of this unit. It's kind of crazy to me that we have made it this far. But it's time to kind of wrap it up. So to end our superheroes unit, comic book part 1 on nuclear energy, fortunately we'll get to do comic book part 2, but we are going to create a newspaper article. You were going to take on the hat of a journalist, and you are going to use this style of platform to kind of voice your opinion. Now, I want to make a statement before we get into this, is that you're going to be actually telling me whether you are for or against nuclear energy. I want to make it clear that I am not grading you on your opinion, okay? I don't care if you are for or against it. What I'm looking for is, can you justify your argument? Can you use scientific fact to back that up? And if you can, then you're good to go. So what I'd like to do in this video is kind of walk you through what I'm looking for, go through the rubric, kind of give you some examples, that kind of thing, just like I would in class, okay? So I'm going to start by just kind of going through the introduction. Now, this is going to start on page 67. This is the same thing that you have in your packet. So this is page 67, 68, and 69. Okay, and as always, you're welcome to ask me questions, email me. That's what I'm here for. But this is going to be a project grade. In other words, this is going to count a lot more than your daily grades, especially for those of you who are needing a grade booster. This is it. This is the assignment. What I will also do is I will use the same assignment to replace any zeros that you may have in our circus unit that we did over types of energy, because this falls into that category. So this will also help you meet that standard if you do this project well. Okay, so here we go. What I've done for you is I've posted your standard. That's the most important thing here, is understanding, like, why are we doing this? Your standard says that you are to obtain, evaluate, and communicate information to explain the changes in nuclear structure as a result of fission, fusion, and radioactive decay. In other words, you got to be able to tell me, what is fission, what is fusion, what is a half-life, how does radioactive material decay? Not only do you have to be able to explain it, you've got to be able to tell me the benefits of it. What are the downfalls of it? What are the problems? How do I actually get energy using these processes? So we're going to focus on what I call the meat of the standard, which is letter number is C here. Letter C. Construct arguments based on evidence about the applications, benefits, and problems of nuclear energy as an alternative energy source. You have got to construct an argument that explains the advantages and disadvantages of nuclear power as an alternative energy source. Okay? Now, to help guide you through this, I'm giving you a fictional scenario. So this is not true. This is something that I made up. Okay? But it is going to be kind of the basis of your newspaper article. So you're going to pretend that you're going to be a journalist for the Athens Banner-Herald. Okay? Now, I chose Athens because it's pretty much our big city around here, okay? And it kind of affects all of us because we leave Oglethorpe County to go to Athens. A lot of our resources come from Athens. So this is kind of the scenario that you're going to be working with, and I've highlighted it here. It says Athens, Georgia is getting a nuclear power plant. Many people have mixed feelings about the building of this power plant. Using the newspaper template, you will construct an editorial to the Athens Banner-Herald, explaining why you are for or against the building of nuclear power plant. In your editorial, you must address the following, okay? So you need to decide, am I for nuclear energy or I'm against it? To help you kind of make this decision, I've given you a lot of assignments over the last few days and at the end of last week to kind of give you perspective. So that was the TED Talk debate on page 59, hearing what Bill Nye had to say in the Eyes of Nye video on page 60 and 61. And I've also kind of walked you through how do we get nuclear energy on page 51 through 54. And it also kind of brought about how we use it, where we get it from, what are the concerns with it, okay? Now, just like we've kind of talked about in class, we said that in science, when we make a claim. Okay, we're kind of become a lawyer. Okay, in other words, we're going to say, hey, this is what I think. Here's the evidence to support it. I know this person is not guilty. Here's why. Here you're saying, I am for nuclear energy. I'm against it. Here's why. You need scientific fact to back that up. Okay, so here are some things that you need to address somehow in your writing. Now, I'm going to break this down even smaller pieces in the rubric like normal, but here's kind of like the overall list of things that you need to address. What is nuclear energy? Define it. Okay, what is nuclear energy? How is it created? Where do we get nuclear energy from? It's really important that to exceed on this standard that you actually discuss both fission and fusion. Both of these release nuclear energy. Okay. Now we obviously know based on our reading back on page 38 through 40 that we only use fission to actually get nuclear power. However, you need to discuss why we don't use fusion, even though fusion is better. Okay. Part of a good argument is addressing the counter arguments, addressing why we can't do this, why this is a better choice, or we shouldn't be doing this because this is a better choice. Okay. And it's just not practical yet. Okay. So you need to discuss both fission and fusion. Obviously, we need to discuss nuclear waste. No matter if you're for or against, this is a fact. Nuclear waste is generated in the process of fission. What are we going to do about it? Okay. If you're for it, what are some solutions to this problem that we've come up with it? If it's against it, why? What is it going to do? Why is it going to hurt? Why are our solutions not good? Your argument, whether it's for or against the building of a power plant, what are the pros and cons? So you need to make sure you're telling me, here's the things that have happened. This is how we're addressing those. This is why it's a good thing. This is why it's a bad thing. So I gave you some kind of thinking points to help guide you and to kind of stir your brain a little bit. So in this, you may want to include things like Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Chernobyl, some of those big incidences. I know that in the videos we watched on the pros and cons of nuclear energy, and that was on page, let me look really quick to make sure I have the correct pages, page 57. We kind of talked about the three main things. And in both videos, both pro and con, it mentioned these accidents and it talked about the death rate. I know Bill Nye also mentioned it. So that's something that you can talk about, whether you're for or against, is those events. What's happening if a reactor goes down? What do we do if something goes wrong? What are our solutions? Is this a rare occurrence or is this frequent? Is this something that I should be concerned about as a citizen of Oglethorpe County that may receive, especially if I'm in the Arnoldsville or Beaver Dam area, that I may receive energy from Athens using this nuclear power plant? Okay. Is it cleaner? Is it better for the environment? Okay. What types of radiation are available? And what are the effects of that radiation? You can go back to the reading for that. So you can actually look up the different types of radiation on page 22 and 23. Okay. We're talking about the effects of radiation. You can go back and talk about, okay, what type of particles are being released, which ones should I be more concerned with, which ones are going to be in the nuclear reactor, all those little details that we've talked about in those notes. Okay. You might even want to talk about transmutation as when you're actually changing. Bill Nye brought this up as well in the video clip, and I believe it was the last question on page 61. Okay. And obviously, because this is a newspaper article, you want to include things like illustrations and pictures. You want to make this beautiful, guys. Okay. Now, I'm aware that you're probably doing this on a computer. When I designed this, it was intended to be in the classroom where you could do things on paper, and you still can. Okay. But if you're going to do it on the computer to submit it to me that way, you're welcome to use pictures from Google. Feel free. Just make sure that you cite them. Okay. Where did you get them from? And that kind of thing. Okay. But you do want something because this is a newspaper article. No matter if you open up a newspaper, a magazine, whether it's sports, Southern Living, it doesn't really matter. There's always images that go with that reading to kind of intrigue you and to pull you in. So that's going to be a part of this assignment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make part 2 of this video, and in part 2 I'm going to go over the rubric and in detail and kind of go through what I'm looking for to exceed on this project grade.